All right. Hello, everyone. This is Princess Duncanson from the Royal Podcast, and I am here with Gospel Gold, Gospel Legend, Gospel Royalty, Pastor Kim Burrell.
Thank you.
And we are here at Metro Baptist Church, and we are super excited. And I'm thanking you for sitting down with an interview with me. I mean, obviously, just introduce yourself. You don't really have to, but just introduce yourself.
Well,
Tell us who you are.
I am Kim Burrell, and I am Gospel Gold. Boy, I like that.
Yes, you are.
No, I appreciate that. I am just a Houston girl doing what it is I do after 37 years professionally, and I'm proud of you, and I'm glad to be here on your show.
Thank you. I appreciate you sitting down with me. I am a church girl, so I
Me too.
definitely know who you are. I grew up in the church, and I always ask everyone that comes on here, and especially you, like, how did you get started? Like, did gospel music choose you, or did you choose gospel
Oh, it
music?
chose me from the womb. My mother was a singer, evangelist, daddy, organist, and preacher. His parents were talented with music and preachers and missionaries. I am fifth generation, Church of God in Christ, my history, and just I grew up hearing music all the time. But then my parents saw that me and my brothers and sisters all had talent, so they put us all together. So to make a group, and I laugh at it now because all of our names begin with K, and I'm Kim. There was Kathy, Karen, and Kevin, and we were called the 4Ks. Wow. And thinking back at it, it's kind of corny. God rest my mother's soul. I would never be able to say that if she were still alive. But the 4Ks, we traveled with our parents every summer after school. And I'm the baby of four, and eventually became a little lead singer, Had an interesting start. But yeah, gospel music chose me, and so I'm still here.
I think that's awesome. Do you feel like you, like having that structure, having that relationship with God, kind of kept you on the straight and narrow? Because I always feel like it did for me.
Oh, I know it did, without a doubt. With the opportunities that have, or situations that have invited me into them because of my talent, they were not always gospel driven. And I'm thankful that my gift has been able to transcend outside of the four walls, mainly because it is a gift from God, and it needed to reach more than the people who were at church. But being that it invited me over there, I've been able to really hone in on my conviction about what it is I do. It's not a career, it's a life choice. And I have been offered so many opportunities to do something differently. But this is a life choice, and my conviction is in my music. This is a yes to the Lord. My career is a yes to the Lord. That's it.
I love that. And you said something I think that was profound. You said not to just minister to, you said to minister to everyone.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of times I do soul therapy Sundays with Anthony.
I like that, soul therapy. Wow.
So literally they do it at SOBs, and it's about an opportunity for everyone to come together
Yeah.
and worship God in an unconventional way.
I'm going to want to come to that one time.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to come.
The invite is there.
Okay.
To talk to Natalie.
Yeah.
But it's such an awesome place, and I like the idea because I think for me, I grew up in the church.
Yes,
Left
too.
the church a little bit.
Okay.
But came back. But I always had my conviction and my relationship with God.
Sure.
And the point that you made, that you said you like to minister to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
How important do you think that is? Because I feel like music, it's not words, it's not specifically words, but it's a feeling.
Sure.
How do you feel like your music ministers to people that may not be so-called church people?
Watching Michael Jackson one day perform, I was sitting with my mother, and we were watching him, and I think he was live in Budapest. And I looked at my mom, I said, look at these people screaming and losing it. He has not spoken one word of their dialect, of their language, but they are losing it. And Mother said, that's because music, baby, is a universal language. And because of that impartation, I don't think maybe she did know. She was a very spiritual lady. But it stayed with me, and it made me think about that. Don't make what you do a genre. Make it an expression of God through your heart to the world, and whoever it reaches, it does. And that perspective has helped me to maintain relationships outside of the church that were very needed. Had I not been exposed to that type of mentality, when my mother shared that with me, I never would have known how to embrace when Harry Connick Jr. just called me out of the blue and asked me to sing at Yankee Stadium for the Pope. I probably, had I been church-minded, I would have said, well, church on Tuesday night. Although my dedication to church would have been at the same, and is still at that same level, but I would not have embraced that opportunity to be able to sing, and the impact that it made. That's the part, not just on me, but the people that were there, the Cardinals touching me as I walk out, and they say, "We needed you here." That meant so much. And I've continued to do that. I remember my longtime friendship with Stevie Wonder. We're headed toward 30 years. I laugh every time I think about us. We're a trip. But Stevie said to me, he says, "When I hear you sing, I hear God." And so same thing with so many of notable names that have not been known as being church representation, but they love God. I was glad to hear you say you left the church for a little bit, because in my experience of that, we never leave because it's so in us, but the part of us that believes we can take a break from it, if we don't know how to deal with the church when we get back. There's no way to really be a good church person until you leave and come back, because you have to know what it's not for you to appreciate what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people put so much on the building, on the people, and not understanding like people are individuals.
We're churches.
But on top of that, we're here for God.
We're here for God.
And I love the fact that you said that you have relationships with everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And those relationships with everybody, it reminds me of Jesus.
Amen.
Because Jesus was everywhere.
He was.
Okay?
He was.
All right? He was
He was
everywhere.
outside.
Yes, he was outside. Catch me outside.
Catch me outside.
Jesus was outside. And I just feel like for me, sometimes the traditional church can be a box.
It's
and then
too much of a
when you
box.
get into that box, you lose the people.
Sure.
And you never know who needs to hear your message or hear your words. And Jesus was just walking up and down the streets. People were touching him. He wanted to be where they are because he knew that his message was so profound. And when I think about you and your music and your relationships that you have just with I don't want to say regular people, because everyone has a love for God.
Sure.
How do you feel like now the Kim Burrell you are today, and all that you've been through and all that you've done, and like I said, gospel gold?
Thanks, honey.
Where do you see yourself like in the next 5 years? How do you see yourself ministering? I mean, obviously you're a pastor and obviously you're gospel gold, but you're just also a genuinely good person with a good heart. Where do you see yourself?
I almost leaped out of this chair when you asked me that, because of all the things that are happening right now. Evolution is something else. I'll tell anybody that may see this, put time on it. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she was 102. She just passed away a couple of years ago. And she went out praising the Lord. You know, she was something. She was our rock. And she made a statement to us as children. She said, "Baby, put time on it." When we would go to her, and this happened, grandmother, and we used to call her Momo. She said, "This happened, baby, put time on it." You know, time is a beautiful thing. God is so amazing. The next 5 years, the next 5 months for me is mind blowing. I've got 6 projects that are happening as we speak. And one of them is a documentary. I've got 2 books that are coming out next year. One is a bio. Then the other one is about, it's called Me and Whitney, We Had a Life. And that's a story about me and Whitney Houston's sisterhood, friendship. And I can't wait to bring people in on the truth of the details of what made it so very special. Before they ever saw me walk on stage to sing to her, the reason she jumped out of that chair on one of the events is not because she was just happy to see me. We both knew what that meant. We had to pull it together quickly because we were about to have a sister moment. And I was like, all right, let me get this song out. We'll do what we do, which we eventually stayed up to like 5 in the morning that night until the next morning, excited. But I'm putting 2 books out. I have a conference coming up. My Ephesians 4 conference is 20 years old.
Okay.
But this year's theme, 2024 in March, 3rd weekend in March, is called Getting the Good Out. I have interest after the things I've encountered in life in the last 7 or 8 years, and particularly that I've done some inward researching and some outward observing. I have embraced the inevitable idea that I am intended by God. I'm so glad that God has chosen me, because it helps me to know how much he can trust me. There's so much that I could say, there are so many derogatory things that I've seen and known. I'm not even available to expose it. For what? What's the use? What good does it do?
It doesn't.
It doesn't help.
No.
Some people say, I tell my story so other people can be helped. Well, that scenario is gone, because now when people are vulnerable, it is taken as
out of context.
and people are abused
And they
for
vilify
being
it.
vulnerable. And but I want to bring life back to that because people need to free themselves up. That's why the conference is called Getting the Good Out.
I would love that. Where is the conference going to be
It's
at?
going to be in Atlanta, Georgia, and
Okay.
it's going to be at. I'm not going to say the name right now because I haven't done it by paper, but
Okay.
but we are we're more than 97% sure that we're going to be there. But
Okay.
it's going to be let's just say Powder Springs, Georgia, and everybody knows that's where the Relentless Church was, but it's now called Embassy City. I might as well tell it. It's Pastor Brian Meadows, who is my good friend, but that's where we're scheduled to be.
That's
At Embassy
amazing.
City, but it's going to change so many lives. The whole layout, you have to be there.
Listen, I'm excited, Natalie.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to be there because there's something for everyone. Some of the guests are going to be my son, of course. Tyrese will be there. He thinks he's the headliner for every darn thing. I tell you the truth.
Also, it's Kim
That's my
Burrell,
baby.
and then it's going to be Tyrese. Okay.
Of course. I might have to give him my title. But that's how he embraces all that I do, which I'm very grateful for. God has given me so much favor and with so many kind and influential people. But my interest is God's creation. My interest is God's people. I don't care who they are, whether they're walking in church or not. My interest, I'm gonna be honest with you, because I've been in church my whole life, my main interest is not just the people in the church anymore. I have so much interest of the people who are outside of the church because how badly they need what God is. I don't even say that they need God's people. There are some people that they do need, but they need God. And I
Yes.
just want to be able to present that he reveals to me to give to them.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, two things I want to say. Number one, you brought up Whitney Houston. Okay.
I knew it, girl.
I love me some Whitney
baby.
Houston. Okay,
Aw.
me and
Me
my second oldest daughter. I want to dance with somebody. We'll be in the car singing that at the time. But I'll tell you a quick story. So my family's from East Orange.
Oh, yeah.
And my
You know all
sisters
about it.
were very close with Whitney Houston growing up. I never got a chance to meet her. So my sisters and I are like 20-something years apart.
Wow.
They went to school with her. They call her Nippy. And I just have always loved her. So when you said that, my heart was like,
Yeah.
I love me some Whitney Houston, and I always loved the fact that she always loved God. No matter what
Indeed.
anybody thought about her, and you couldn't tell me nothing wrong about Whitney.
No.
We would fight. Listen.
I hear you.
But I love that. And then I also just love the fact that you say, so many people are hurt.
Yeah.
So many people need healing.
Yeah.
So many people are broken.
Yeah.
And we're broken sometimes by the rejection that we get.
Absolutely.
When we do show up as our full self.
Sure.
Because
Sure.
I'm gonna show up as myself. I'm gonna have flaws. I'm gonna be broken. I'm gonna say some things. I'm gonna do some things.
Sure.
But one thing that I always remember, that God knows the heart.
Absolutely.
So who are you to judge my outward when my Father, He
Yeah.
knows my heart?
Well, a lot of people need to embrace that just for the sake of peace. Now I never thought that I would come to a day that the trend would be what blogs have to say. That's derogatory. I didn't know that it would become a trend, except for the Bible really told us. It said that there will be feet swift to run to mischief. There in Proverbs 6:16, there are 6 things that the Lord hates. 7 are an abomination. The first one is a proud look. And some people don't even realize how dangerous it is to embrace the behaviors that God hates. And I think that the world needs to do more of a study on that. But I would pray that you would be yourself. Just upon meeting you, I know you're worth being you.
I love that. And I don't even understand how much I needed to hear that, because so many times in life we doubt ourselves.
Sure.
We doubt our abilities. We
course.
doubt our God-given talents, because we're like, why would God call me? Like, I ain't got it all together.
Sure.
But the confirmation that you just gave me, I know you got to go rehearse, so I have one last question for you. I wrote a book called Still Standing. The reason why I wrote the book, thank you. I wrote it about 4 or 5 years ago, but I wrote it as a poetry book. So growing up, I've always dealt with depression.
Okay.
And that was my outlet was always poetry, always writing. I never realized that until I got older. So I wrote the poetry book, and I wrote about different things. But and it was at a time I wrote the book. I just had my 4th child, and I've always dealt with some type of depression. Always. I had postpartum depression. I had depression after that, self-sabotage. I never thought I was good enough. And so when I got the book, it was therapy. And my biggest thing that I want to always give back to everyone is self-love.
Yeah.
Out of everything, why is Pastor Kim Burrell still standing? What sustains you?
God's intention. Because if it were left up to me, when death came for me back in 2020, I would have been all right with it. When death came for me twice this year, I would have been okay with it. Just from knowing where I'm headed, and then missing my mother, and missing my brother and my grandmother, I would have been okay. I'm here because God has decided to continue to speak to me, to do things in his name, and to do what all of us should be here to do. Make the clarion call that there's a Jesus coming, that all of this has never been about us. This has always been about us embracing the Creator, God, the Father, and us embracing his nature by him sending his son to be an example, to have the Jesus character, to make it through this perverse, weird world, and do the very best we can to project God's intention, and that is to save lives, that we'll live with God forever. That's all I'm here for. And whatever those things are for me to do, whether it's singing, counseling, talking, listening, hugging, smiling, that's why I'm still here.
I'm like literally sitting here fighting back tears. It has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. And first of all, I'm excited about this conference. I want to get more information. And I just think that people need to understand and see like you're a whole human person. But not even just that, but you have a heart of God and you have a heart of people. Oh, yeah. And I just want people to understand like God is love, Amen. God is peace, God is understanding, Amen. And God is always forgiveness. That's Amen. Something I always believe in. Amen. And the fact that you said, I love the church, I'm going to be in the church, they're going to see me. Yeah. But I want to go out there.
Oh, I have to. My talent calls for it. I have Amen. It's inevitable. I have no yes. choice because they keep reaching for me. What do you do? Hang up when Snoop Dogg calls you? What do you do? Hang up when Whitney calls you? What do you do? Not answer when Harry calls you? What do you hang up when CeeLo is reaching out? When Mace is on the other line? When P. Diddy's on? When Missy Elliott? What am I supposed to do when all these people reached out? I go. You go. And I become and be what it is I need to be for them. And so.
Amen. Well, listen, everyone. This is an intimate, special moment with Pastor Kim Burrell. She told me to call her Kim, but I had to say my mama's from the South and she's from the church, and I can't do that, ma'am.
No, that's
so
right.
I just want to say thank you so much.
I
love you. This has been the highlight of my year. Thank you. Love you so much.
So proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.